Please join me in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome for coming, or thank you for coming and welcome. That's what I'm going to say. Thank you.
They're gonna come in after the graduation.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to item 2 on our agenda. Is there any additions or deletions for our agenda? Item 3, approval of the agenda with the additional bills.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the agenda with additional bills.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of the approval of the agenda with the additional bills, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No? We're moving to good things happening. As usual, it's rolling on the TV screens there, and there's a link on the website. Lots of good stuff going on. Specifics are right into the graduation.
Let's go to graduation.
All right, Mr.
Logan, you ready? Come back right over here. We do need music in here.
No, we don't.
I was trying to give it to you.
All right, so tonight I'm presenting Logan Hughes. Just couple little things about Logan. He definitely was steady in his studies, and it's a good thing because steady eventually makes it to the end. So we're super happy for Logan, and I think he's probably very happy also. What are your plans for your future?
To work.
To work. What are your plans to work? What are you doing for work?
I'm learning about cars right now, so some mechanics.
Do some mechanic work then, all right. You gonna go to any trade schools or anything like that?
I don't need one.
Okay. Check it. Okay. So at this time, Superintendent Waggle, Madam Chairman Lay, members of the board, Logan Hughes has met the requirements for graduation set forth by you. So I present to you the Peak High School graduate, Logan Hughes.
My baby.
So we'll have you shake hands with everybody.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Give everybody just a second to switch chairs.
Take a picture?
Are you ready for us?
Yeah, come on.
Perfect.
Wheeling High School.
You wanna stand wherever you, just right up in that corner, how's that, just face the board.
Okay, so we're Wheatland High School Student Council, and a few months ago, we had our Make-A-Wish Week. Our Make-A-Wish Week is a major fundraiser that we do every single year to raise money for the State Student Council fundraiser Make-A-Wish.
So the fundraiser lasted from February 12th to the 17th, and we started at about, we wanted to get more community involvement instead of just the schools, so I worked with Mrs. Wallace and we wrote and addressed letters to every business in the town asking if they could donate to the fundraiser. It was very successful. We also partnered with Bimbo's Restaurant on Thursday, and a portion of their proceeds went to Make-A-Wish that day. And then we had a bunch of school activities.
Throughout the week, we had different fundraisers for the students and staff to participate in. On Monday, we sold little blue stars that Make-A-Wish provides every school with, along with blue bracelets. We sold those each for $1, and students could write their name on the star and put it on the wall so they could show their support that way. On Tuesday, we had a coin counting thing, so all kids brought in their coins to their first hour class, and their first hour teacher could not start class until every single coin was counted, and a lot of kids like to do that. And so, then on Wednesday, since it was Valentine's Day, we did keychains. Yeah, on Wednesday, it was Valentine's Day, we did little keychains with little notes on them, and a bunch of kids bought those too. On Thursday is our huge one. It's called a bucket race, and so we gather as much money from our grade as possible. So we have the junior, freshman, sophomore, seniors all sectioned off, and you have to fill each bucket up with a certain amount of money, and then the end bucket, you just put the rest of the money in, and so you get class points for finishing the race first, but then we also count up how much money we have in each bucket to determine what class wins the amount of money raised. So then on Friday, we just had the basketball game and all the fundraisers. We also had a dance. So we hosted a dance, like people bought tickets, and anything we made off ticket sales went to Make-A-Wish. Our original goal for Make-A-Wish was $10,000, and
our total that we made was $11,275. Our previous record was set in 2022 with $9,000, so it was a pretty big jump.
And what class won?
the juniors.
Woo, juniors.
We just wanted to say a huge thank you to all the businesses, students, and parents that supported us throughout this entire week.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
So much. Correspondence. Visitor comment. We do have a visitor that would like to speak. Just like to remind everybody of the policy BBBH. So you have 3 minutes, and
I want you with the flowers.
on the Desiree Yacovetto would like to speak. You're fine.
Okay.
Wherever you're coming from. You can go over there if you like.
Okay, like Sherry said, my name is Desiree Yacovetto. I'm a junior at Wheatland High School, and I've been able to participate in indoor and outdoor track for 3 years now. Sorry, okay. Being able to participate in an indoor track program is very important and beneficial to my outdoor season. Indoor track serves as a preseason, so I'm in shape and ready to go by outdoor. I broke the school record for the 200-meter dash last Friday, and thank you. And I attribute that to being competitive during the indoor season. The top competitors in outdoor track also compete in indoor track. And I think that without indoor track, I would feel behind and I would not be up to the level that they are. So I would love the opportunity to compete for Leland High School indoor track for my senior year and represent our school. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we have the consent agenda with the minutes, the claims and additional bills and donations.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I would second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Comments? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, including the minutes, claims, and donations, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Ayes have it. All right. Go on to reports, and we'll start with the superintendent report.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start first talking a little bit about our certified applications. This was based off our new salary schedule for next year, just to kind of give you a heads up. So at the end of last year, we had a hard time finding anybody to apply and most people weren't certified. So that's gonna give you kind of an idea of what kind of applicant pools we've had. So the high school counselor, we had 2 applicants. For West Elementary, that's 4th and 5th, we had 7. For the social studies position, we had 5. We had 1 special ed applicant, but we had 3 case management for special ed applicants, and 2 of those are certified special ed. So we've hired 1 of those, and the other one I believe is gonna interview. So those are really hard positions to fill, but it was nice to have at least a couple people, at least 1 in each position to look at, that was certified. Of course, we have a couple coming up. But the other thing we kind of focused on was student teachers, kind of connected to the University of Wyoming. So next year we'll have 5 student teachers that are planning to, enhance their teaching abilities here within our district. So we'll have 1 person that's gonna be elementary and special ed, that's kind of a nice one. At the interview fair, she was actually being sought after pretty heavily just because she was student teaching and she'd be certified in SPED. So she's gonna come here and do that for us. We have 2 other elementary student teachers. We'll have 1 social studies teacher that'll be at the secondary level, and we'll have 1 teacher kind of in the CTE area. So the reason why it's important, I think we need to highlight our district in terms of the instruction within our district, and hopefully it helps us recruit too. If we do have a position open, they get to know us, we get to know them, it might help us a little bit. So I thought those were pretty good numbers for the first go around. I know in elementary we had to go down a couple where people took positions, it was all surrounding districts, so as we made our base more competitive, I think that was the right thing to do around the region, just so they come and interview, want to be here. 1 person declined because of housing concerns, we can't really control that. The other one went to Laramie, which I mean is a pretty attractive place to be with the university there. And I know we just offered something just recently, so we have both of those elementaries filled, I think, moving forward with certified candidates, so.
Yes.
That was my report, and then, I don't think, oh, there he is, he snuck in there, hey, come on up. He's gonna talk a little bit about the CDL training this summer. We're planning, it's not set in stone yet, but as you know, we're worried about CDL drivers. We're trying to come up with some ideas. One thing would be to try to grow your own drivers. Look at parents, staff members to go through some training, so I'll let Blaine talk a little more about that.
Yeah, hello again. It seems like we're really doing everything we can to be getting drivers recruited and trained. So our next step that Mr. Weigel and I have kind of come up with was to train our own, like he said. And with that, we're working with Mr. Ed Kimes out of EWC. They have a program over there. We're looking to get myself and our mechanic, Roger, certified to be able to train through EWC, and then we can host those things. He's trying to get with the DOT right now to make sure we can establish a course and get that done, and as soon as we get that, we'll be able to get some dates. Right now, he thinks it's gonna be middle to end of June. As soon as we get those dates, we'd like to kind of offer it up to hopefully as many people within the district as we can. Parents that have interest or willing to do those things, with raising rates and doing some of those things, hopefully we can draw a few more people that way as well. But we really have to try to find a way somehow. We're thinking that's gonna be our best avenue.
Emily, we can pay for the training, correct? So if someone could, you can actually pay for the time to be trained?
Yep.
Along with those costs?
Correct, and we would just put in that some type of a stipulation that you have to drive for a year, or whatever we kind of feel is necessary, based on who and what it is. If we get a lot of outside interest outside of the district, with someone that may not be vested in the schools or something else, we might have to put a different requirement on it, but if we have teachers or people that are just willing to get it to help out when they need to, I don't know that that's something we have to, they're probably not pursuing a career as a driver. So, just something on those kind of notes to keep in mind, probably have to be a policy of some sort that we put in when it's time to do it, but, we won't really know, I guess, until we know what kind of interest we have.
We made a good point, maybe we just have some substitute route drivers, and then the normal route driver, they might be able to go on an activity, a longer one, but if we had some local folks to do even a route in the afternoon, it'd be helpful, cause then we could take some with more experience and maybe do an activity that day or that night, so. I think it sounds promising, hopefully some parents are gonna go to events instead of maybe worrying about it being postponed or canceled because we don't have the drivers, could actually drive and get to watch their own son or daughter participate. That might be a good draw for a season. We talked about maybe a preference, if you wanna put in for this in the summer, what's your preference? Is it a spring season, is it winter season, is it football season? And let us kinda know so we kinda plan around what some of the availability might be once we get people trained, so. I think we might get some parents that might be interested, maybe deal with your parent, if you wanna drive and get paid to drive there and get to watch your son or daughter participate. And hopefully recruit some folks that, we have other opportunities out there, so.
Right, so I was just gonna add, so last Friday, I am now actually a behind the wheel instructor through the FMSCA, right? So the process that Wayne is describing to you is actually very complex. To be able to get into that realm, it's not difficult, it's just a lot to get through. And so with the new changes in the federal law, with brand new drivers having to do their entry level drivers training, which can be done online, that's fine, easy enough. It also has to be approved through the registry as well. I'm also a remote pilot, and everything I've done in the FAA realm is actually easier than what I've done to become a behind the wheel instructor for CDL. So to put that in perspective, there's a lot to it, and so I appreciate it, the way I had to go through it, because I can have CDL permit holders for me.
Okay.
And train them on the job, that's cool. You can't do that with bus drivers.
Yeah, no passengers.
They can't have passengers with them. They could probably do the permit thing in the summer. Or going through like a truck driving school or this course that Eastern Wyoming has. Most of the community colleges have something to that level. But yeah, to get a driver, they can't walk in with the passenger endorsement or the school bus endorsement on a permit. And so that's another complexity.
Well, they've also added that you have to have your DOT physical prior to getting your permit, which is, it's not that bad. It sounds like it, but it's just one more step where you didn't used to have to do it. It used to be, I can go through the process of getting that, and if it's not for me, I don't have to go get the physical. Now they flip-flop that, so you gotta go get the physical. Again, that's an expense that we can cover and do those things, but it's just, they're finding ways to
make it complicated.
Over-regulate.
Absolutely, I would agree 100%.
So just getting the word out to the community, so everybody knows, what avenues are you using for that?
Right now, we're not, just because we don't have dates.
Okay.
So to just kind of wait till we have the dates locked in. As soon as we get those, I think we can do the newspaper, we can do Facebook.
Okay.
I'm fine putting a radio ad out. I think we can pretty much exhaust all means necessary, especially locally, since we're kind of looking specific for those local individuals that would be familiar with the area.
And then anyone who might be interested in that, would they be contacting central office here or?
We can put the bus garage's line on there and then probably cut out a middleman, but if we want to, we can put central office.
Yeah, I just didn't know what your process was, so.
I think we'll probably put the bus garage just because.
If I go around to talk to people about it, you know, I'd like to.
No, I think the bus garage would be the simplest because we kind of plan to, So the skills test will take place in our parking lot, there at the bus garage, we have the buses there that we can train for the pre-trips, and we have all 3 different types, or manufacturers with 2 different types, I should say, so they can kind of get familiar with different things that way. And then the course, you have to have 2 approved routes, in case there's construction or something happens to one route. And you're supposed to alternate if you're testing multiple people at once, but within all that, it's like Mr. Gaffney said, it's just the process of getting everything done. And at a state government level, they don't move as fast as we would like them to at times. So, and I think it probably goes beyond the state because it's federal, so it's yeah. So we'll see. I do think no matter what, whether we're the ones that are able to train them or EWC does it this year, we will be able to provide the course in June.
Okay, so June is kind of the target date. Okay, good.
So is that reimbursable like the other busing?
Yes.
So we have to pay for it upfront for the training, but then we get reimbursed for it? Perfect.
Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you.
Thanks for all that you're doing.
Sure.
Hope on the horizon.
Seriously. So the next one is just gonna talk a little bit about PLC or professional learning communities. We have some professional development scheduled for August 19th when we have staff back. It's a district day. So in the morning, they'll kind of do an overview for the entire staff, and then in the afternoon, they'll do leadership teams together for each building. So professional learning committees are very impactful in terms of student learning. When you look at all the high-performing districts around the state of Wyoming, across the nation, really they focus on professional learning communities. It's based on collaboration. You work as a team, you problem solve as a team, you talk about teaching strategies that can push kids, and you talk about teaching strategies that maybe can lift some of the skills or some of the areas of deficiency for students. Maybe I'm not getting it, but maybe another teacher can teach a different way or share with me as a teacher something different that I didn't think about before. So it's a powerful process. I think it's been a while that we did the training here in this district, so it's kind of, I guess, trying to rekindle that professional development and really focus on that work. So we have that scheduled, and then after today's meeting, I think we have some bills to be paid, but we have an online options for our principals and other team members to get part of. So a lot of their professional development, they're recorded, and we have access to those. So when our principals start leading this work, they gotta have a pretty good background of it. So them or anybody else, we can actually give them access, I think between 60 and 90 days. Shane, is it 90 days?
Yes.
Yeah, so one time it looked like 60, but 90-day access to everything they put online, and then when it's done, but at least it gives us a start, right? Especially, it started with the principals, and some of the principals said, hey, I have teams that also wanna be involved or other staff members, so we kind of opened it up to everybody. So that's the first initial phase to try to bring some more, I guess, exposure to the process, and then we'll start digging into the work as we go through the year, and then we kind of adjust what needs are there. Do we need to have more PD? Do we need individual work? How's it look across the district? So it's just our first initial PD to start this process. So very effective though, and good stuff when we work together, so.
Love it.
Next, I'm gonna have Josh talk a little bit about the RIDE application. I don't know if it came out, it was supposed to be released today, I don't know if it did or not.
I haven't seen
The
it.
second cohort of districts from the governor's initiative, so Josh, talk a little bit about that.
So the RIDE is the governor's kind of initiative to improve and kind of be recognized as a state, as a leader in elementary and secondary education. And so spring break, the week right before spring break, Lachelle Brandt from the governor's office reached out to us and asked us if we would apply or consider applying. And so visiting with John, I think there's some things that we were doing at the high school level that fit in with kind of what the purpose of the RIDE is designed for. And so we filled out the application, and we didn't really hear whether it was accepted or not until we got the phone call from the people that are doing the training. So we assumed that we were in, and so we're gonna go for that. But basically, so pilot 1 was this current school year, and there's 9 schools or districts that are involved in that. Pilot 2 is for next school year, and there's 9 more schools or districts that they're looking for to be a part of that. We've already had our initial meeting. There's another meeting that we have on April 30th. The May 3rd, there's a celebration of the Pilot 1 projects. When I was in DC, the principal from Cody, I just briefly talked to him about it, and he said it was a great experience. Just working through processes and things, kind of. The governor's letter says that you get to throw out the rule book. Now, I'm not sure how far they go with that, but basically the principal Cody said you have a lot of freedom to do what you think is right for kids. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. Our focus is gonna start with our career technical education. There's some things that we wanna do and add, basically we wanna add opportunities for our kids. We're looking into the CDL program at EWC for our kids. We wanna try to possibly add some automotive opportunities, some HVAC, electrical opportunities, working with our local contractors, our local businesses, and then kind of looking towards apprenticeships. We have one electrical company in town that is already looking for somebody that's interested in an apprenticeship. We're just trying to find that right kid that could go right into that. So we want to continue focusing on that. We also want to expand our work study and internship opportunities for our kids. For a long time, that's kind of been a senior level thing. We want to try to expand that a little bit earlier to give some at least juniors some more opportunities, possibly even sophomores beginning to look more into those work study and internship opportunities. The nice thing about it comes with a grant. The trainer said there's no strings attached, so we'll be receiving $37,500 to put towards anything that we want to put it towards. So the CDL program that EWC is currently running, this part is not reimbursable to us, but we could use this grant money to use that towards. Right now, I know my nephew is in the program, he's a senior in Lingle. I know they've got probably 7 to 10 kids between Guernsey, Lingle, Torrington, Southeast that are in the program. And those students will be able to drive within the state of Wyoming. You can't leave the state lines until you turn 21, but they'll be ready to drive by the time the school year is over. So just looking at those opportunities where we can have kids career ready by the time they leave us.
So
Good. Love it.
good deal. So just out of curiosity, these programs, especially like working towards apprenticeships or something, if students have already been doing summer type work, is there a way for them to let you know ahead of time? I mean, are the students being informed of the programs?
Well, we're kind of in the, I would not say infant stages, but we're moving that way. I see Mr. Hazen's back there. We've been talking a lot about the automotive and HVAC and electrical opportunities. We're looking to apply for a grant through the WDD in Perkins. It's a $125,000 grant to try to bring in some virtual equipment to Wheatland's campus. But what we're trying to do is create pathways for kids to do that. So if they're already in that, that's they've already taken the first step. You know, and then we can help them with the next step. So yeah, I mean, if there's kids that are working that have an interest to go a certain pathway, we'd like to know about it.
Awesome.
So within the program, we do get a coach, and we meet monthly, there's PD that they provide. And some of the districts from the first cohort actually went through similar types of focus areas, so they've learned a lot already that they can share with us. So really a nice opportunity for our students to maybe get some exposure to some different opportunities. Even if they don't go for as a career, that could be a summer job that they get involved in, that gets them through college if they go to college. But I just think it's good to give kids opportunities, and you never know which avenue they're gonna go, but give them a wide variety of exposure, and then they get to choose their career or what their pathway will be.
I know I'm registered to go over to Riverton on May 3rd to check out what those first 9 projects were, just to get some ideas. I would take more of the kind of the CTE team, but it's track season, they're gone, you know, it's busy in the spring. So it's kind of hard to get everybody rounded up, but we are focused on our CTE group. Eventually, you know, at some point, we wanna include our feeder programs at the middle school and see how far we can kind of drive this down to them and what does it look like for middle school programs. But this could mean adding programs of study to our Perkins program, especially in automotive, HVAC, and electrical. I guess the one I didn't mention is expanding our healthcare one. And we have students that, many students that take the CNA course, so how can we expand that? So, just trying, I guess the goal is just trying to create those pathways to post-secondary careers.
And there's such a crisis in all of a shortage of workers, you know, going forward, so I'm proud of Wyoming. I don't know what the other states are doing, but I just think it's awesome that we're part of this.
Yeah, looking forward to it, it'll be good.
Thanks, Josh. Jamie, it's not your finance, everybody. Is there anything on the, do you have a slide up here, or you gonna just talk through it?
I did provide you any pictures of grass. No pie? No pie today.
No pie.
It's been a long time since we've had pie.
Well, I was told your recommendation was not pie.
I know.
You're,
Put in a request.
you can put in your request. I show your request was to do the following. So, like I said, was told to maybe present a little bit tonight on what the year-end process looks like, what the budgeting process looks like for 24-25, and staffing. So what I start to do, the difference between projections and budget process, they kind of go together. So for starters, what I do is I take these handy dandy memos that WDE has sent us in regards to, these are changes that have been made to our model this year. So I'm just gonna highlight them, I'm not gonna read them to you. So on March 19th, we got a budget adjustment saying Plat 1's 24 guarantee in the amount of $163,360.64 will be decreasing to Plat 1's entitlement payment. This is due to a small district adjustment. Then there's also another correction in regards to school level ADM. The total amount is a guarantee is an increase of $190,316.65.
Jamie, this is this year, right?
This is this year.
So even though we budgeted quite a while ago, we're finally getting some of the end results, even for this year.
Super fun, huh? March 18th, I got another letter saying that there is a school facilities error that was provided in the model to me. Basically, this one is they were combining and making Peak High School and Wheatland High School the same school. I'm like, they're two separate schools, I should get separate funding. And I do. So I get an increase of $2,711.01. Then on March 28th, I get another letter that they have found another error. It is going to be in regards to school level ADM again, and this is gonna be an increase of $41,658.48. So there's a lot going on with our model and what the actual number looks like. So moving forward, they have provided me with a budgeting model. You guys will hear a lot about it at our May preliminary budget. In between now and then, I'm going to be meeting with all principals and directors. This is our second meeting that we'll be having. We're gonna go we're gonna be going over more line item versus broad picture. Our very first meeting was talking more about staffing, where do they see changes, where do they see additions, and where do they see removal, that type of thing. This time we're gonna go more over line item. What do they need for supply, travel, professional development, copiers, everything down to the water, the postage machine, everything. So that's coming up. We go over what their year-to-date expenditures are, if they need to make any budget amendments to their current budget. So if they've overspent in a category and need to borrow from a different category, we're gonna start to see those.
Spending should be done at the school level. April 5th was the cutoff for all spending, that way we can get everything received. If we don't receive their product by the end of the year, then it goes into next year's budget, so that's kind of why we put spending as that cutoff, just in case things are on back order or anything like that. I'm also just in contact with our auditor, looking at what the ending cash balance is gonna be, what our open POs are gonna be, that type of thing. We're also, believe it or not, getting ready for audit season. We've already got our audit work started in, for this year. As far as budget process, again, it goes hand in hand kind of with this year-end process. I'm in contact with the county, trying to figure out what our revenue is gonna be from our county. They really cringe, I think, when I call, because I call frequently, and they don't have any numbers for me either. They're waiting for their, it's just a dog effect. Again, meeting with principals and directors, I go over their 3-year average of expenditures. So what did the last 3 years look like? So this year, for example, I know that our heating bills and our bills in our buildings are gonna be far less than they have in years past. I'm not gonna go in and turn the heat off at West halfway through the year because, well, last year you only spent $89,000, why didn't you? So we kind of just go over that 3-year, what does that look like, what are your averages like, and then we make adjustments from there. I look at the big purchases and review purchases. I know that we're looking at, further down in the agenda, there's gonna be some purchases that are gonna be a little bit bigger, trying to get those all done by the end of the year as well. I also look at the ADM numbers, CTE numbers, sped reimbursement, and transportation. The hardest part about all of those is obviously gonna be the sped and transportation reimbursement. I'm not sure how many track meets are gonna get canceled between now and then. I don't know if we're gonna have a student go into placement for sped, those types of things, so I just kind of make my best guess. Currently, our ADM is sitting at 877.8. Last year, our ADM was at 896.486. So, already taking into account that ADM loss that we've been aware that is happening, but I'm starting to plug that into the actual model to get those numbers projected. That number is with the charter unknown ADM. I'm not sure what their ADM is gonna be. Remember, ADM is different from enrollment. Enrollment is the actual student, ADM is the attendance, average daily membership. So those are two different things that we're talking about. I just, got my big notebook here. This is what we're looking at for the budget. I keep a handy dandy sheet of this is what we are adding, this is what we're removing. Just kind of quick glance, and I can see kind of what we're looking at a quick glance for when you guys ask the questions. I made preliminary.
So at the beginning of your presentation, you talked about an increase to the ADM of 100 and some odd thousand. That was an adjustment. Can you just explain that exactly, what that increase is?
Yes and no. It's on the back end of their budgeting model. So they had an error on their side that has like the calculations based on our ADM. And I believe that 163 was just due to the state trying to figure out the charter enrollment and how that was gonna affect our ADM.
Okay, and so that was an increase, and then a little further down, you talked about an ADM increase of 41 some odd thousand. Can you give us a little explanation of that?
Of the 41?
Yeah, I'm sure it was an adjustment as well, I just wasn't sure exactly what these are about.
Okay. So I mean, they're not super specific, it just says in cell K 254 of the operational and maintenance calculations, and then I'm not sure what that abbreviation means.
But it's an increase, it adds to.
I think it stands for actual educational general square footage. I could be wrong though, so I don't, but that's what my assumption is that one is in results of the 41,000 is, yes, that's due to the square footage. So they give us so much for the school facilities, and that's when they were combining Peak High School
Right,
and Wheatland High School.
okay.
And so what they're doing is they're taking the actual square footage of Peak High School and giving us some money for like janitorial, if something were to break in the bathroom as far as maintaining that type of thing, heating, plumbing.
So just for clarification, the WDE, they look at their books and then they rectify whatever was wrong
Correct.
in maybe their audit, is
Correct.
what you're telling me. Okay, all right.
Yeah, actually, I think there's 37 calculations within the model.
Oh, okay.
So out of those 37 calculations, I'm sure there's mistakes because maybe the charter school added or took something away that they're not used to. I would say that's some of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very complex worksheet.
Right.
It is nothing I would want to touch, and I love Excel.
And they're just working through some of those things too, so. But at the end of the day, it's good news.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, I like good news.
That's all I have. And I'll create a pie if you'd like in May for the prelim, and we'll talk numbers a lot in May.
Thanks, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
Okay, and then moving along to the March PCED board minutes. Everybody had a chance to look through those,
Right.
as well as the March Parks and Recs minutes. Any questions on those? Board reports, do we have any board reports? Did you find, yeah, we were talking about maybe a flyer for the board, did you guys,
For recruiting,
yeah, that we could have ready for Friday?
I have some ideas written down that I figured maybe if it's all right to just talk over with John, get something printed out so that it'd be ready by Friday.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Yep.
All right, anything else? We do need to get the board evaluation committees together, so we'll talk after, I'll send out an email to those members of that committee and they can decide when they wanna meet. Any additional items under information? All right, we'll move on to policy evaluation.
Yeah, so for information, we do have the GCBA R1, that's a form that was on our website. And have that be actually a regulation for tuition reimbursement. And then the second one, the GCBA R2, that's the form that would provide tuition reimbursement for anybody who was gonna qualify to be an EWC instructor. So they would have to list those classes one by one to get reimbursed. That would just help us to provide concurrent classes in any area that doesn't currently have them. And if we do have one concurrent, let's say instructor in English, we might have a second person that's trying to get certified, so if that person leaves or retires, we have a second person that could step in, so we can continue to offer concurrent classes. So, and that would be paid out of the EWC BOCES mill levy, so that would be general fund of the EWC. So those are just information only with the regulations. And back to the policy, I do think we met as a policy committee, as a group and went through quite a few, and you'll see those kind of later. There were quite a few that we had questions on, so that'll be our next policy meeting, next board meeting, that'll come up for first reading, so we have a little work to do behind the scenes.
Alright. Now we are on to action items. Seeing no old business, we'll go on to new business. Item number 1 is to approve motion to move into executive session.
I would like to move to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second to move to executive session. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. At 6:44. Alright. Item 2 on the agenda, approve the 4-day calendar for Glendale schools for the 24-25 year.
I would move to approve the 4-day calendar for Glendale schools.
I would second that.
Alright. Any discussion?
There's been a lot that's taken place, and that's been a good thing. A lot of discussion.
We had quite a few, 22, yeah, at the, I didn't make it to the first public meeting, 22 people at the second public meeting. Not everybody there was in favor of the 4-day school week. Pleading cases on both sides, we heard some here last week that are not for it. You know me, I've tried to play devil's advocate with everything that I've been asked and told. A majority of the people that go to that school are in favor of it. Parents, I guess not people that go to school there, but the parents of the people that go to school there.
And the teachers also express and that speaks volumes, I think.
And not only that, they gave specific examples of how it would work better, be more efficient.
Yeah.
I do have a question. On here it says, if approved, the alternate schedule application will then go to the Wyoming State Board for approval. Is that just part of the process because we've already approved a calendar for them for next year, or is it because the 4 days alternative school week would be for just Glendale and not Wheeling?
Yeah, so any school that wants to do an alternative has to be approved by the state board. So that's the process for any school who changes and goes less than 175 days of school for students.
I've been asked, because it's within the same district. One school is looking into it, the others are not, so I've been asked a lot, and then when it was worded like that.
Yeah, so if it's approved, it's not finalized, it has to be finalized by the state board. That's the next step, with all the documents that Tom's been working on.
One more, thanks.
Objectives, how
You're
it's
welcome.
measured, there's a lot that goes to that, the public meeting notes, that all has to be provided to the state board.
Well, and then that date is by May 1st, is that correct?
Yeah.
So that's why it needed to be dealt with at this time. Any other discussion?
I'm so excited somebody more than me talked, thank you.
I guess I would just ask Mr. Waring, thumbs up, everything good to go?
Yeah, I have all the documents to, just gotta load it into their website and hope it works.
Alright.
Well, I didn't make it to either one of the meetings, but from all of the conversations and information that I've got, I had basically 2 negatives and everything else was positive. So I'm feeling like the majority of Glendale is speaking very loudly that this is something that they want.
And it was also talked about that if it doesn't work, it's okay, that it can always,
Be reversed.
yeah, so.
For the next school year.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Any further discussion, questions, comments? Alright.
Oh, I do have one more, I'm sorry, in by the last second. So what does it mean for the classified staff? So because you're gonna go only a little bit extra in the day, but like last week when we were here and parents stood up and I was figuring up numbers and it was a difference of like 60 hours in a calendar year difference from the 5-day week to the 4-day week. What does that mean for classified people that are hourly?
So a lot of those classified are not full, like they don't do the 40 hours a week starting. I think Tom has those calculated at like 0.7 like the one paraprofessional, the librarian, they're not full, really 40 hours a week currently. The food person would probably have to work a little bit longer, cause it's gonna be earlier for breakfast, later for lunch. There might be some things we talked about, maybe for Friday, kids would take Thursday afternoon, so they would not change their hours to the point where they would not get insurance. But there could be some small changes in those hours, is that correct, Tom?
Yeah, so that's just something we have to look at after we get this, after they get this approved, then I have to go through and look at hours and things like that and figure out what works best for everybody.
Isn't there a 0.7 para, 0.7 librarian, even the secretary's a little bit less?
I think the secretary's at a 1.0 right now, but
Okay,
that could change to like a 0.75,
sure.
something like that.
But that position is open as well, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'm done now. Unless I think of something else in the next 30 seconds.
Alright, so, seeing no more discussion or questions. All those in favor of approving a 4-day calendar for Glendo School for the 24-25 school year, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Alright, moving on to approve personnel hiring resignations and terminations, we have it in our packet. I'll have a chance to look at that.
All right, Madam Chair, I would move to approve personnel hirings, resignations, and terminations.
Thank you. Take a second.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments on the list? Everybody's good? Alright, so all those in favor of approving the personnel hiring, resignation, and termination, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Alright, on to Alright, item 4, approve policy IGBG-E, the fundraising request form on second and final reading.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve policy IGDG-E, fundraising request form on second and final reading.
Alright, I would entertain a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So this is our final reading, so I think we've probably
Talked about it.
talked about it.
Do you have anything new?
All those in favor of approving policy IGDG-E, fundraising request form on second and final reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? The ayes have it. Item 5, approve policy IHBG, homeschooling on second and final reading.
I'll make a motion to approve policy IHBG, homeschooling on second and final reading.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving policy IHBG, homeschooling on second and final reading, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Item 6, approve the adoption of policy DB, combining all of those policies on second and final reading.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the adoption of policy DB, which combines all those policies listed on second and final reading.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I love this.
Huge shout out to Jamie on that one. There's a lot of work went into that.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Combining, yes.
Alright, so we'll vote to approve the adoption of policy DB, combining DA, DB/DBB, DBC/DBB, DBE, and DBG/DBH on second and final reading. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. Alright. Item 7, approve the following policies as reviewed.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve the following policies as reviewed, EB, EBC, EE, GBA, GBB, GBCA, IC, ICA, ID, IDA, IFE, JB, JEC, -R.
Thank you.
Bravo. I'll second it.
There you go.
Okay. Any discussion? These were all reviewed with the policy committee.
Reviewed and no changes.
Correct. This is
Right.
just a review. All those in favor of approving the following policies as reviewed, EB, EBC, EE, GBA, GBB, GBCA, IC, ICA, ID, IDA, IFE, JB, JEC/R, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All, any opposed?
Sorry, no, not opposed.
Okay, item 8, approve the following policy as amended.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the following policies as amended. ECB, IA, IF, IGA, JEC.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So I kinda asked before, I wish there was I know that it went to the policy committee and whatnot, but if we're doing it, I wish there was a little bit of discussion on who, what, where, when, and why they're being changed. Help me log into my computer first. What am I doing wrong? Board.
So previously, I think that we had, and we do still, don't we? Like go to policy IA, there's red and then there's crossed out, so you can see the changes.
And some of them are
And they're
just
listed in the packet here.
simply grammatical.
So if there was something in particular, like some of them, so the one that we just did.
So like if you look at IA, it does have bold red, that's what was added, and then the strike through is what was removed. That's pretty common policy, so each one of the policies has that.
Yeah.
Anything was revised, or there were small revisions, that's how the subcommittee worked, and then we shared it with our overall policy committee. And any questions, like our last time, there were questions on quite a few things, then it would come to me and I would research through the Wyoming School Board Association. If they have a sample or model policy, I'll have to look up statutes, other things like that, and then bring that back to the policy committee. So anything that was questions, we just put a hold on it. Most of them were like, yeah, we like that, we just need to cross out this portion and we recommend this. Or like Jamie's, she went through and says we have 6 policies, we can combine this into one. We don't need to have 6 separate policies. So a lot of these haven't been looked at for quite a long time, so it's been a lot of work. But we try to highlight those changes by that red, bold red or strike through.
And we are on track with 1/5.
We're actually a little over 1/5.
Wow.
This one's by we finished. We have this next group that we're gonna start next, but by the end of this fiscal year, we'll have 1/5 complete.
Awesome. Yeah. And that's new and different from my time on the board, that's always been the insurmountable task. So I can appreciate it.
Well, and some of them just have been outdated and are really based on how the law changes and recommendations, you know, of state statutes. So you just need to clean those up.
Any other questions or discussion on item 8?
And I guess moving forward, if we can always put like a little, I don't know, comment from the committee that says the reasons why, if that's helpful, if you need more than why was this added compared to why was this taken away? You could add something with each one as a side note, that helps.
I just know that some of the activity committee, and it hasn't been, I will admit, it hasn't been in the past 2-3 months because my schedule changed, but when I was going, there was a lot of discussion of, well, what about this, well, what about that, well, what about that? And then you come here and people see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they're like, well, I don't know what that is. So I just thought that it would be a little. Or if you're not on the committee, you have no idea why it was even a conversation or why it's even a discussion. But, you know, I talk a lot, so I'll shut up.
Well, so I think it's worthy of mentioning, so like when, for instance, we were working on a policy or some of them that are coming up now, the people on the committee have an opportunity, just so you all know, to make notations of what they feel should be changed, or maybe that doesn't apply anymore, you know, cause if you haven't looked at it since 2014, something might have changed, right? So we do that. And then in addition to that, as we go through the first reading, you know, that's usually where we're discussing and trying to describe for stakeholders and anybody who's here interested to, you know, hear what those thought processes were. And a lot of those recommendations are gonna be coming through state statute. And so I think that's important for everybody to know. We're not just willy-nilly, you know, just changing everything up. There's a reason behind it, so, yeah. So, and I think if anybody had questions, they could reach out to any of us if they felt like there was something, you know, that needed to be addressed, or any of the admin team, you know, because those recommendations are coming from their level of expertise, especially.
And teachers are involved in every one of those representatives from.
Yeah, there's
County
a lot of
Association.
different people on it, so.
And this is just a process to try to get through all of them in 5 years, because I think it's been lacking in terms of going through these and reviewing them, so hopefully within 5 years, every one of our policies have been looked at, modified, reviewed,
Amended.
removed, amended, yeah, so it's an ongoing battle, for sure. But we can take little notes if that helps.
Sure.
Yeah. We can start the next round that I have those ones that were on hold, we can make that available.
Sure, that'd be good. The policy committee come up with a way to make that more user friendly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on item 8? Okay, all those in favor of approving the following policies as amended, ECB, IA, IF, IGA, JEC, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? No? Alright, item 9. Approve the following policies to be repealed.
It's removed.
I would make a motion to approve the following policies to be repealed, which will be GBF, also KE, IFD, GA, GBA-R/GCI-.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Alright,
And again, repealed is removed.
any comments on those policies, questions? All those in favor of approving the following policies to be repealed, GBF, also KE, IFD, GA, GBA/R/GCIR, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Item 10, approve the following policies as revised.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the following policy as revised, JECD.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Alright, any questions or comments?
No, so this is definitely one that got changed because I think of the legal ramifications. So just so.
All those in favor of approving the following policy as revised, JECB, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Alright, item 11, approve IBB living document.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move to approve the IBB living document.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, thank you. We have a copy of that in our packet as well with Wendy. Would you like to say
Thank you, explain a
anything
little
about it, John?
Yeah, so just historically, we really haven't brought forward some of these ideas or some of the things that have been agreed upon. Sometimes it was agreed upon one year, not next year, but then it was happening. A good example might be the lunches for staff. I think it was approved one year, the next year it wasn't talked about again, it kind of disappeared. So we wanna have one document, and this is what we base our negotiations off of. So this is what we kind of agreed to. So the next year, if the district would like to see something change, we would give notice to the union folks that we wanna discuss maybe item about the teacher preparation in terms of this statement. They might have some things they wanna talk about, they would let us know through this document, and then this is where new statements or new agreements would be placed also. So it's pretty typical, but these have to be approved each year. You can't approve something for a prior, a board coming after you, so every year this is looked at and approved. But I think we missed some things previously when you made agreements and they didn't come forward and they should have. It just clarifies what some of the expectations are. So I think it's pretty typical.
When you say approved every year, so it will be approved in April every year?
So IBB starts, we start talking about it really in January, and it kind of goes through.
Right.
I think there's some quarterly meetings sometimes that happen in this district, but really it starts about January. We start meeting and talking through, and then the actual negotiations are right about this time of year.
Right, so if we have to approve the living document yearly. We do that now.
Unless it's ready earlier, we can do that.
I mean, last year we didn't do negotiations until June. Right. Or July, I can't remember.
I think it was in July, 'cause I was
July,
part of
you
that,
were
right?
here, yes. So
Is there
it would be nice.
is there a policy that says this has to be approved by a certain month, I think is what?
I think there's a calendar that says kind of what we focus on. You'll see IBB January, February, March, April, I believe.
Like this?
Yep, so April should be IBB.
It's got all the.
Yep.
Okay.
Kind of start talking about some things, but really the negotiations, you'd like to have a little more information about some finances and legislatively, but you'd start having conversations early.
I just wondered when you said approved yearly.
Yep. Yep.
But this document is just actually the starting point for
Pretty much, yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Is kind of the.
Any further comments, questions on the IBB living document? All those in favor of approving the IBB living document, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? That's a little quick. Item 12. Approve indoor track as a new sport for WHS for the 24-25 school year.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the indoor track as a new sport for WHS for the 24-25 school year.
I'll second that.
All right, thank you. It's been properly motioned and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd say in light of our budget and in light of the students this would affect, I think this is a good fit for us.
In light of those things, I think we've made a lot of financial changes and moves in the past year. Personally, I'd like to table it until we have the budget for next year. We're 2 months out, and this season wouldn't start till January.
If we were to do it, it has to be, we have to send an application to the state by sometime coming up here shortly.
As soon as we can. I mean, they're just asking for our approval as soon as we get it done, so.
So is there a deadline or no?
Well, it's an individual sport, so technically there isn't a deadline like for the end of this year. Like if we were gonna start like swimming, well, that would be another individual sport, so if we're gonna start soccer, that's a team sport, so they need to know like at a certain point the year before that you're gonna start soccer in the spring. So indoor track is an individual sport. There is no deadline when we have to submit it, they just ask as soon as possible.
I guess for me, I'm still stuck on the financial part. For myself, it's nothing against kids or whatever. Everybody knows my kids, they're involved in everything under the sun way too much sometimes. It's not that, but
I'm understanding that we are close to having too much in savings to carry over.
So my, can I? Okay, didn't want to stomp on anybody. I've heard from several of our stakeholders, I've heard from several of our students. We have interest of 25 students. I think that there might be other students that were interested in that. Our goal and our what we as board members stand for is things that assist students. And I just want to put in my 2 cents that I think it's a worthwhile endeavor for the investment, and I'm in favor of doing things for kids that we already have interest in and success in. And I just want to tell you kids, I think you've done a fabulous job, and you know, I like that. And so I think it's a program opportunity that can grow and be something that I'm already personally proud of. So there you go. That's just my opinion.
well, I think the kids have done a great job as well and have been successful. Just 2 months ago, we were talking about needing things for our spring meeting equipment for the spring track things. So the expenses that you're talking about and spending the more money, I understand that. But when we're talking about uniforms and buying equipment and doing all of these things, personally, I would like to see those things done and paid for, and make sure we've got the copiers and the printer paper and the staplers and the paper clips and all of the things that we need in the classroom. And then add this, is my point. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but for me, there's been a lot of changes and I'm not tracking fast enough of where the money is coming from and going to. And I would feel more comfortable personally. The budget, the new fiscal year starts January 1st. July 1st, I'm sorry, I meant July.
Yes.
Or business lady, you got any pieces of pie for this?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things of, in order, you're gonna have to divvy up, so some things either gotta come off or some things, when you add something on, something's coming off. So you need to have a point with that, so whether or not whoever's willing to give up which piece, as I call them, or however you guys wanna cut up the pie is up to you guys. That's not.
Is that really an issue? I need to ask this. Is it really an issue that we're giving something, that we have to give something up in order to do this?
Well,
I mean,
in my opinion, we are still in the budgeting process, correct? And I mean, I know of a few things that have come off the table, but I know things have come on the table. So until those numbers are all worked out, is everything a wash? No, everything's not a wash. And I'm gonna venture to say, I'm meeting with principals in the next couple weeks. I don't know who's gonna have more come off.
I don't know, that's why I kinda guess that's where my brain is too. I just would like to, it's 2, 3, a few months away.
And if the season doesn't start till January, that's just my 2 cents.
Based on, what budget information?
Next year's budget.
But I mean, do you have some insight on that?
No, that's my point. I didn't mean that as a
No, I
smart
just-
remark,
no,
I meant it
I'm
very
just
bluntly, like
wondering.
it's a lot. We've had the insurance stuff and a lot of things that we've gone over before and we just increased the salaries and I get that it's a lot of different areas and we've got major maintenance and, you know, reimbursables and made myself a list. I forgot my own cheat sheet. The budget and inflation and ADM and staffing and reimbursements and all of that. That's a lot of traffic and I'm about to get a speeding ticket. I just can't keep up with it, so I would just rather get through the budget portion, finish this year and look at next year and see what everybody's budgeting for and I didn't realize this was gonna be this big of a conversation, but that's great. I would just like to put my 2 cents in that I think it's an amazing opportunity for us. I got, Cedric gave me all the numbers of all of our sports and stuff and where indoor track is right up there with everything, with the number of participants, not even being a high school sport at this point. And I like the direction that the school is going. I understand what Amanda's saying. It has been a lot of changes, a lot of different, but I feel very confident in adding it. That would be my vote. I will vote to add it because we've got a minimum of 22 kids that want it and it's gonna help the kids and that's what we're here for. So that's my opinion. Anybody else? We haven't heard from Dustin.
So, obviously, the indoor track team is very successful, has been for several years. The way I have to look at this one at the moment, and I completely understand where Ms. Fox is coming from, I agree. 100% different lane change than things that we're used to. But the guy sitting directly to your left is the guy that'll navigate us through all of that. So I have to boil this whole thing down to one thing. I've got a 7th grader who wants to continue to throw and maybe do some indoor stuff in his track career. That's all I can base this on. Hopefully we can keep him moving, keep him in shape. You know, Ms. Yacovetto happened to mention that it could be an extension of their season and get them into shape to be competitive in the spring. Right now I have a 7th grader that gets kind of big-eyed when we talk about indoor track. That's really what it all boils down to. It's an opportunity for that younger class coming up, give them an opportunity to get them all the way through it. You know, we'll have to kind of see where that goes, but right now at this moment, I'm in favor of having an indoor track expansion and the folks that we employ specifically will have to navigate us through all the logistics of the whole thing as it comes.
While I agree with that and it is his deal, it's by vote. So Yeah,
sure.
exactly. My,
For sure.
everybody has their opinion,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
He gets paid to do his job and I get paid to do mine, but
Ms. Fox.
you're way ahead of the game on this one.
So Ms. Fox, you mentioned something here a little bit ago, that if you want to table it, go ahead and make that official. Make a motion for it.
I'll make a motion to table it until after the budget in January. Is that what you're,
In July, you mean?
or, dang it, yes, thank you, July.
Do you wanna go into July or do you wanna go into May?
We do.
After the prelim?
So there's a motion.
There's a motion on the
Right
table.
now.
I would second that. I would second that, to table.
But we have to take that one off the table, right?
We have a motion on the table.
We have a motion.
To approve.
No, we've already done our motion to approve it.
Yeah, so now there is a motion to table. So we're one rung up the ladder now.
Sorry, any
It's okay.
FFA kids in here?
So
Yeah,
we've
I've had to
taken,
grow up.
so we've taken the next step up the rung. So now we have to deal with the next rung.
Okay, so
So
the,
there's a motion and a second.
and, oh, that's not the, that's the wrong one. Here's my FFA. Sorry, it's actually to lay on the table. It says interrupt, no. So you but you have to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, not, okay, so the motion was to approve indoor track. And now the sub-motion is to lay it on the table. And
So now we have to vote on whether we table or not.
And you're seconding, okay, just let me write this down so we get it. Okay, and Dustin seconded it. Okay, so the current motion before the board is to lay on the table the approval of the indoor track as a new sport. Okay, so this is to table this. So all those in favor of laying the motion on the table signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All those against laying it on the table signify by saying no. No. Yep.
Your absence of no's. So 5-2 no.
Okay, so the motion to
It's 4-3.
So you have two absence right there, good,
Which
no,
is, there's your 4.
no, and then there's 3.
So
Two
the,
absence, we have 3 votes.
It's
Yeah,
five.
5-2.
5-2. It's 5-2.
The 2 absents are no's. And you have
plus
3
3
no's.
no's.
5-2.
So 5.
Okay.
Why did they,
You're right.
why did they default for the no?
Because they're not here. It is by the majority of the elected board. Not current, not the number of board members present, it is by the elected 7.
But anybody absent is
I'm just wondering, because a few months ago,
So then we
it was
won't be
yes.
tabled.
But it wasn't on the table motion.
Oh.
But everything, so it's 5-2.
Okay, so we, to
So
move
now we can
forward,
vote.
so now the motion to lay the approval on the table has failed. So the current motion before the board is to approve the indoor track as a new sport for WHS for the 24-25 year season. So all those in favor of approving, everybody understand the motions where we're at? Okay, everybody in favor of approving the indoor track as a new sport, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no?
No.
Yes. Item 13, to approve the amended cyber insurance coverage costs.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve.
motion to approve the amended cyber insurance coverage cost. We had the link in our packet to explain that to us. Any questions, comments?
So the premium then is 17,000, is that the total, 53, 17,000? Just wanted to
So that's an
Clarify.
increase, that's an increase of what you guys approved
before.
before, correct? The cyber insurance company was not able to go back and retroact our insurance back to January, and because there could be a possible threat out there that we don't know about, we had to go with a different carrier.
That's
It wasn't because of anything that was presented incorrectly or any of that, it's just that there's this arbitrary potential thing.
Correct, and I mean, what they're looking for is some security that Ryan and I have been working through, but they said even if we were to get that into place, it would not allow the previous company that approved when we presented to you guys, it would not allow them to actually cover us, that we would still have to go with this other company.
So if you remember the application, we had to apply for that because it was outside, so during the application, there were some things that they found that there were questions and we couldn't fix them as quick as we needed to because it has to be retroactive back to January.
This year.
Yep, and Ryan can talk a little bit about that if he wants to.
Yeah, so basically the biggest hangup was any remote connections coming back into the district need to have a multi-factor authentication. So basically a password, which would be something that we know, and then a device or something that we have. And we actually had two passwords in place, which was not what they were wanting. And so we are working with the state of Wyoming to get the device that they want in place. We just couldn't do it fast enough for them. So it is now, it's gonna be in place for our next renewal.
Okay, and so will that affect the price then the next time, or?
I would say it should,
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're
I
insurance
don't know
companies,
anything
so
about
I'm not really, I would say it should go down.
Oh, okay.
So what piece of the pie does that come out of?
That is, general fund. If that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
General fund, correct, yes.
And that was closer to what they actually quoted us at the beginning, wasn't it? What they thought they could get it for was less than what the quote was. So we were going, it's very close to what the quote was when we originally started. All right, okay, so we are, any further discussion on the cyber insurance coverage cost? All those in favor of approving the amended cyber insurance coverage, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Item 14, approve revised Old Chugwater purchase contract with correct lot information.
Madam Chair, I will move to approve the revised Old Chugwater purchase contract with the correct lot information.
I will second that.
Thank you. Alright, so this is just finally getting the right numbers and words on the legal paper, correct? Okay, we have a copy of that information, any discussion? No? All those in favor of approving the revised Old Chugwater purchase contract with correct lot information, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Item 15, authorize John Weigel to execute a warranty deed for the sale of the Old Chugwater School.
I would move to authorize John White to execute a warranty deed for the sale of the Old Chugwater School.
I would second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor to authorize Mr. Weigel to execute this warranty deed for the sale of the Old Chugwater building, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Ayes have it. Item 16, approve special education contract with St. Joe's Children's Home.
I will make a motion to approve the special education contract with St. Joseph's Children's Home.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments? All those in favor of approving the special education contract with St. Joseph's Children's Home, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Item 17, approve mind games counseling contract for Libby.
Approve mind games counseling contract with Libby.
I'll second that.
Any comments, questions?
Which one's this? This one's federal. Great.
Right, all those in favor of approving mind games counseling contract with Libby, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Alright, item 18, approve used skid steer bid.
I'll move to approve the used skid steer bid, Bobcat of the Rockies for $42,500.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrelson.
I would second that.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Which one? This one's general fund.
Any discussion on the bid?
I think that one's general and can't be out of maintenance.
Well, it's within his general budget, that's where he has you, you're not replacing like something like in a building, that's how you get major maintenance funds. But yeah, the equipment, you have to provide that. I think there was like a truck you can actually get through maintenance, but outside of a truck, those are just on the district, he would use his current budget of general fund.
Any further discussion or questions? Alright, all those in favor of approving the used skid steer bid, Bobcat of the Rockies for $42,500, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Alright. Item 19, approve the special education contract with Elizabeth Macy for literacy consultant.
I'll make a motion to approve special education contract with Elizabeth Macy Literacy Consultant, there it is. It's no word.
After a while you get right. I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Says this one title. Federal? I think it's federal, is it? Federal.
Well,
6B, it's state.
yeah, it's 6B.
It's money from the federal government, so. Special ed.
Any further discussion or questions? Nope. Approve the special education all those in favor of approving the special education contract with Elizabeth Macy for literacy consultant, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Item 20, approve the special education contract with CBAR Ranch dash BOCES 5.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve special education contract with C-Bar-B Ranch, BOCES 5.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So is this one the same, it's the same as the previous?
Any questions or discussions? All those in favor of approving the special education contract with the CBAR-B Ranch BOCES 5, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Alright, item 21, approve the purchase of 3 MPVs for the transportation department.
I will move to approve the purchase of 3 multi-purpose passenger vehicles for the transportation department.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Discussion? Questions, comments? All those in favor to approve the purchase of 3 MPVs, multi-purpose passenger vehicles for the transportation department, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Item 22, approve the change order for Libby Elementary's multi-purpose gym HVAC.
Yeah. I guess I will. Isn't that amazing how much that costs? I'll make a motion to approve change order for Libby Elementary's multi-purpose gym HVAC upgrade for $290,000 out of major maintenance funds.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Questions, comments, discussion?
So was the reason, and I'm just gonna ask this because I'm forgetful. The reason for the change order was because of an increase in, separate from the bid, it's a change order, so it's adding to the original bid. What was the reason? Is that because they found more problems or the items just became that much more expensive?
I'll ask Jim to answer that, he's got it right
I was
in
gonna
front of it.
The big thing is we try squeezing everything under the grant to get as much done as possible. So over there at Libby, we have 3 air handlers, we're changing 2, we're already to have a hole in the roof, like we're right there. I mean, the air handler that really needs a lot of work is that one. So we're gonna either have to spend a pile of money to even try getting the last one really functioning, but it's putting Band-Aids on it, and we might get another year out of it. If we do it now, we save $50,000 right off the top, because we don't have to cut another hole in the roof. And really, it's kinda like changing 3 tires on a vehicle, like right there. It's kind of the time to do it, and we're sitting fine, I think, in our major maintenance, for what I can see coming up. And inflation, you look at costs last year, like, it's just they go up, so. Can we maybe make it another year? Yes. Will we actually spend way more in a year? Yes. So it's kind of, we're there, let's do it right, and get rid of all these Band-Aids that we're fighting all through the district. So that's kind of where we're sitting.
And Jim, this is specific to the gym, correct? Because
Yes, and
educational
this air
areas.
handler pretty much just takes care of that multi-purpose gym. It's really the one we fight with the most because it's always hot, there's no AC in it right now, there's just no control in that system. When we were dividing them up, we were trying to figure out, basically over here, this area has the most kind of kid use type. And so that was kind of the last one on the burner over there because it's one room, so it's like, it's hard to spend that much on one. But on the same token, when you don't fix the whole system, it all feeds together, so we're gonna be fighting it.
Right.
So yeah.
Okay. So was there anything else you wanted to add on that, John? Okay. Okay.
Questions or comments on that? Alright, all those in favor of approving the change order for Libby Elementary's multi-purpose gym HVAC upgrade for $290,000 out of major maintenance fund, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Okay, item 23, approve mind games counseling contract for Peak High School.
Madam Chair, I would so move to approve the mind games counseling contract for Peak High School.
I'll second that.
Alright, any questions or comments?
Which one's this?
Sure, so it's the, it's a grant. The same, that's for 3.
Is mine?
The same, can you make the same grant?
Should we move forward with the vote then? Oh, I don't know.
Making sure.
Sorry, I was daydreaming just a bit.
Alright, all those in favor of approving mind games counseling contract for Peak High School, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Alright. Moving WHS football field restoration bid opening.
I would move to approve the WHS football field restoration bid opening.
I will second that.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know, when are we putting, what's the date on that?
So I think Jim would like to get this in as soon as possible, so, if we can get this going this coming week and then opening it on May 1st is our hope. By our policy, we have to, or actually it's state statute, because we're expecting it to be over a certain threshold, you have to advertise for 2 consecutive weeks.
Okay. So, and then, the other part of it is that, Jim, would you mind just describing the condition of the field and, you know, how it really needs this?
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest thing is, we've got major sprinkler issues, I'm gonna be tearing up all over the field trying to fix that stuff. We got drainage issues over time. Another big one actually just kind of showed up. It hasn't really been edged, and all of our edging is actually lifted above the track. So we've got roots and things that are actually creeping under our new track that we just spent all the money on. So we really need to cut a bunch of that actually down, cut the sod, lift sod, remove a bunch of material around the entire track surface. I mean, I don't know if you've walked the field lately, there's rolls and it hasn't really been bugged on in quite a while. But really, by the time I tear it up to try fixing all the sprinkler issues, there's not really much of an option but to fix it.
So the cost, that is being projected here, do you have an idea of what that looks like?
It's come in somewhere between $100,000 to $110,000 by the time we fix, I mean, sprinkler systems. It hasn't been upgraded anytime recently, we're easily $25,000 to fix all the sprinkler issues. And everyone I've talked to, we're looking at power raking, aerating, bringing in new compost stands, fully leveling, overseeding, fertilizing, and then babysitting. So a whole process, we're looking at, we shot grade and everything on it, our crown, everything's pretty close to what it's supposed to be to meet speculate for all the specs. It just has a lot of rolls and tiny
It has divots and holes
divots and, yeah, and I mean, there's some out there that we were walking around that honestly, kid hits it the right way, I think he's at a rolled ankle.
Yeah. So, and, you know, I'm not questioning you or your, you know, expertise on this, but would it include new sod or like, do you have to, when you say sanding, do you have to put that, do you have to like peel it back and kind of level it?
Certain areas, they did bring in a machine, cut the sod and actually clean up underneath to get it back to shape, especially around the track edge, and then literally just lay back the sod.
The same
And
sod.
so we're not paying for sod, if we were to resod that whole field, it'd be easily $300,000 to do all that.
Wow.
So, and this is actually to be a couple of year project, I mean, next year, it won't be to this extent, but next year, and that's part of what they're, depending who comes in, we're talking about having them kind of help us lay out proper maintenance for the field, from what to, you know, fertilizers for this coming, really help us lay out what we should be doing to maintain that. And next year, we'll probably have to put another top layer on to finish, maybe filling in some of those holes and stuff, so it's gotten pretty bad shape out there, really.
When was the last time it was done?
That it was aerated and sanded.
Just, yeah, like maintenance on it.
When did Dan Bird retire?
I was just gonna say probably.
6 years.
So.
Wow.
It's been a while.
Okay, alright, well, thank you, I just kind of trying to get a picture of that in my mind.
It's, again, that biggest real, we gotta fix it or we're gonna be resurfacing that $200,000 track next year, cause it's just, they keep peeling that up. I mean, we're trying to edge it, get it down, but we're kind of, we really don't have much choice, so.
Alright, well, thank you for your information.
Is that general also then?
Major maintenance.
Building.
Major maintenance
Okay.
funds?
And so if this approves tonight, then that will, that's the reason for our special board session on the first.
We'd have the bid opening at 2:00, we could have a special board meeting, so they have enough time to get going this summer, if not, we won't have time in the summer to get get something lined up, actually.
Okay. So, alright, so now we'll give you 2 weeks in the paper. Approve it, you find it, you sign the contract. Okay, any other questions, comments, discussion? All those in favor of approving the WHS football field restoration bid opening, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Item 25, approve the WHS woodshop dust collector bid opening.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Wheatland High School woodshop dust collector bid opening.
Thank you,
Second that.
thank you. Comments, questions?
I really like us seeing, I like to see us really bringing up the programs that are already in place and doing a good job with those. You know, I know we're talking about putting this or that in place as well, but I just love how there's, you know, maintaining the football field, maintaining the dust collecting system, really important maintenance. I love to see our funds going and making our programs safe. Yeah.
An ounce of prevention is one pound of cure. So this, just to clarify, is because there's already a certain type of machine, we have to fit the dust collector to that brand. Is that what the deal is, John?
Yeah, we debated back and forth if we actually had to put it to bid. I think there was a way we can say it's a single, whatever, company that you can't really go outside of that, you can't take, you can't take, you know, if you have a certain type and you just can't buy another one and put tape around it and make it work. You have to have exact company or the exact brand fit that. So we were gonna go a different route, but I think we have time to do it through a bid situation. But even though state statute says over 25,000, there is a way you can actually get a report or written, what is it?
Yes, if you have a sole source, then you can have actually your vendor write a letter of recommendation that says that this is the only way to fit to this, to your exact needs, otherwise it would cost you X amount to find a different fitting.
A complete replacement.
So you can have somebody, you can have a professional come in and write you a letter that says that this is the sole provider. So in order for ABC to work, you have to have ABC.
So you wouldn't have to go to bid on this?
So
We just learned that recently, but we have enough time to go to bid anyway, just to make sure. Right, so it's gonna be-
Depending on who handles that, right? Okay. All right, I just felt clarification is good for stakeholders.
Any further discussion, questions? Alright, all those in favor to approve the WHS woodshop dust collector bid opening, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, approve the school food distributor, item 26.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the school food distributor.
I'll second. Oh, okay, yes, and, all right, well, that's what I wondered, that's what I was fixing to ask.
Any discussion?
It was the only bid we got. It's the same vendor we've used for probably the last at least 10 years, and same thing, every time we go out to bid, they're the only one we ever get, so. And they are a very good distributor. And, you know, they have all the product formulation sheets for us when we need them. Their prices are very comparable to any of the others that we've ever looked into, so.
further discussion or questions? All those in favor of approving the school food distributor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, no? Alright, and with that, we will we will have the special board meeting scheduled for May 1st at 6 p.m. right here. The next work session will be May 13th in the boardroom, which we will review math and science curriculum and review the school's PLP accredited comprehensive learning platforms. Any closing statements from anybody?
No, just thanks everybody for all the hard work. This was a deep dive. But good job, everybody.
So we'll go to our last item. Ms. Candy.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to.
Aye.
I didn't have quite that much.